Yeah, I think the first thing is I see a lot of like typical reaction that I see when people look at employer branding as now we have to do it, right? It's something we are being forced to do it because we have to compete on something, so we have to do it, right? So if you become more problem centric and you think you are being forced to do it, you will not be able to really do it. You have to understand the importance of it. It is not just to attract talent. If you think it is just about attracting talent, that you will hire more people, they will join, your dropout or your joining ratio will be increase. That's a one very siloed view of employer branding. Employer branding, if you want to do it right, you also have to look at your existing employees and you have to look at the mission that you have in place. So first of all, I would say first thing is where are you going, right? What exactly is the mission of the company? What kind of people you really need? And I see a lot of people going wrong there itself. They just think they look around and they have this previous baggage, right? So let's say founders come from an enterprise company, and the moment they start any other company, maybe it's a consumer D2C company, they think about the same kind of people we want to hire. And then they look around and look at other companies, what is Swiggy hiring, what is Zomato hiring. They try to copy the same companies with the same kind of people. So first of all, you need to understand what kind of product you're making, what is the service, whatever you're making, what are you making, what is the mission, and to make it happen, what kind of people you need. That's the first important thing you have to do. And you have to believe that you have to do it not only for attracting talent, but also to actually make the mission come true. Otherwise, if you don't have the people and they don't stick around, you're not going to be also enabling them in the future when they join. So you have to really understand the kind of people you want to attract. Second part is, once you know that these are the people you want to attract, look inside and see who are the people like that today you have in the company, right? So out of let's say 50 people, 15 or 10 people are really the people that you think are the ideal hires. And these are the people who work here, not because of salary. Again, if your salary is the reason they're working, then that's not the right reason. Look at those people and figure out why these people are working here and why they are still going strong 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and what really makes them, stay and stay engaged, right? So understand that part first. Then you look at outside world and try to see, okay, who are the people like this that we can hire more? And then you talk to them, you try to understand what are their options, what is their life, life stage right now. As Kartik said, are they young people who are looking for the first job, and hence their requirement will be different as compared to someone with 8 year, 10 year experience, where their requirement might be different. The way they will decide will be different. And the kind of problems they want to work is different. So try to understand that. That's basically the research part, where you're trying to just understand what kind of people you want and what is the value prop you want to create for them. And then once you have the value prop, I think a lot of people get lost. Again, the second point, which is, how do I get the budget for it, right? I'm only one recruiter in the team. I don't have the budget for it. My founder does not agree to it. Or founder says, okay, go ahead and do it, but I'm not a content writer. How do I do it? I don't have a social media guy who can actually do it. So people get lost in the implementation and they try to make it very fancy, because they look around and they see every company is doing a Twitter campaign. They're doing creatives, they're doing video campaigns. Those are costly and more established ways of doing it. But I would say the very easy, very simplistic way is to just write out one blog piece, which just captures working at your company, why you should care, and just talk to that audience about what value props you already have discussed. So like in case of Springworks, Kartik was saying that you look at some things that people are looking for, and you talk about that specific thing, that why, and you only talk to them. Right, as you said, Abhash also said about remote versus office. You talk to remote people because remote is where you're going, and that's the kind of people you want to attract. So then you talk about work-life balance, work from anywhere, and that is your basic idea of value proposition that you're offering. And once you have done these two parts, you have defined the value proposition and you have communicated it in some way, then you just have to make sure that you are validating it and re-energizing it. And how do you do that, right? I can say that my company is the best company, we offer all these things, but the best proof is going to be coming from the people who are actually part of the company and the people who have interacted with us. So try to do that in a way that people can authentically talk about your brand and about your company, and they can share their value propositions and tell them that, oh, these are 3 value propositions that we have discussed. In my case, for example, it could be ownership to do whatever you want, thinking and really being the best in the business, and we want to only talk about that. That is the value prop we offer at Cutshort. So we would rather not have our employees share pictures from Goa trip, share pictures about having beer together. Those are all cool things, but we would rather have them share or encourage them to share things with which they learned today, right? Anything that they learned, anything that they got to do, which they never got to do before. And those are the things we would like to propagate and communicate, right? I think these are 2 or 3 things. Look at the mission uniquely at your company. Don't copy other companies. Second, figure out what value prop you want to create. And third, at the very basic minimum, create a blog post somewhere where you can write and talk to this audience one-to-one from your founder, from your team, and then use this everywhere. Use the same thing everywhere in your job post, in your pitches, wherever you're going to use it. Just talk about this and have and enable the other people talk about it to lend credence to it. And that's how you will start the ball rolling.
So I think one of the first ones is basic hygiene, which is, Glassdoor has to be there. Have all your jobs up, have basic information up, invite all the existing employees to give you a review, invite all the, candidates who are actually interviewing with you, to kind of review. So this is something very few companies in India are going to do this. Generally, companies will ask employees to do it, but not candidates. Glassdoor has a an option for candidates to review the interview process, and that kind of pushes you, puts you on front, and then a lot of candidates are coming to Glassdoor to look for jobs, and then your job posting automatically comes to them organically, right? So that is a big thing which should be done. Then on the exit, when employees leave, ask them for a review on Glassdoor, LinkedIn, whatnot. I think referrals, everyone talks about that. And then one other, hack which we have done very well is, and does not cost any money, does not actually take a lot of time as well, which is just employee stories, right? Very authentic stories of, where people are from, what background have they come from, education, previous employment, what do they do now, how does their day-to-day look like here. And that is something you can post on your blog, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever, right? And this allows anyone who's coming into the company to see, actually listen from that person they are going to be working with. Like, this is how the day-to-day looks like. So we used to call this a day in the life of Abhash, for example, right? And that is a nice way to kind of list, okay, this is how the day starts, this are all the meetings, this is how the teams work and stuff like that. So you're making it very transparent, does not require any creatives, no graphics, so basic hygiene is enough, right? And just be authentic, right? I think someone mentioned in the chat as well, like, you cannot fake it, right? And please don't fake it, please don't try to fake it as well, because if you fake it, you will actually end up hurting more. So just be very authentic. Small things like do an anonymous survey with your employees, the feedback, the responses you get, use that for your employer branding. Ask okay, what are the current challenges, where are people coming from, right? So all these small things have a long impact, right? And ask for, I think referrals is something everyone kind of does, but ask people to proactively post on LinkedIn, okay, this is this was my first month, right? This was what all the things I did in my first month, first week. This is what I do regularly. And you can kind of have the founder do these interviews. You as the HR can do this. Will not take more than an hour to do an interview and write up the blog post. And then you kind of get a lot of social credibility, because when the blog is published, the employee is going to take it and post it in all their social media platforms, right? They'll send it to their family, they'll send it to their friends, and that will give you organic applicants as well, right? So it's kind of all of these small things you do. It takes a while. It's like SEO, right? For the first 3 months you'll probably see no impact, but after that it keeps on going. And once the engine is up, right, there's no stopping it, right? You just have to continuously put fuel in it, but you'll have to kind of wait for a while to see the impact. And as you said, as I said earlier, we have around 200 applicants kind of come in organically every single day, right? And this is and we don't even do any paid postings anywhere, right? Like, literally, it's Glassdoor is the one which kind of gives us the majority applicants, right? And when people go there, they will search for, say, for example, cred, and then Glassdoor will say why don't you look at other top rated companies in India? Perfect, right? Great way. You don't need 500 employees for that. You can start as small as 10, 15, 20. Doesn't really matter, because you have to start somewhere and slowly go from there. Interviews, so also from the candidates who have not yet joined, they may decide to join some other company for higher salary, maybe better, more well-suited work, things like that. But they can always give you a review on your interview process.
Yes, and I think I would like to add here as well. This is something that specifically we have been able to do at Springworks. Is employee advocacy is not something that will start happening. You started today. 10 days from now, everyone starts posting on their LinkedIn or Twitter. That is a long-term thing. with huge ROI, which is true for any brand marketing, exercise. So some of the things that you can get started off with is you have to give, at least this is what we have done at Springworks. I'm not trying to be prescriptive. This has worked for us. You have to give people explicit permission to build their personal brands on company time. If you are getting the benefit out of someone posting about, how the work culture is good, or, something about the company, that's extra work, right? Why should your employees be using their personal time to do this? Give them explicit permission that this is part of your job. As in, if they want to. I'm not asking you to force everyone to do it. That is, of course, not where we want to go to. But, you can basically give them sort of an extra credit if someone is, building their personal brand, because by association, as a byproduct, your employer brand and in many cases your company product brand is also being built. Every time someone from your company, one of your employees posts about it, anything on Twitter or LinkedIn, right? The next, important thing is there has to be a why. Like, people should understand why they are at all doing this, right? Like, building your personal brand that helps employer brand is not an easy task, right? Like, first of all, it doesn't come naturally to everyone, right? So if you give them the why of why they should be building their own personal brand and how that helps the company, right? Like, if you give them the why, then it will sort of become very easy for them. And this is the truth with anything, right? Like, people only do something when they see there is something in it for them, right? So you have to give them the why very, very importantly. So we also tell people that, every time you post, it increases leads in our pipeline, because, someone might be, scrolling the feed and they see, you've spoken about one of our good experiences is one of our products. They also, start trying out the product, or they might, just reach out to the person itself, himself or herself. And then you have created also a sense of belonging. So if, you have a 60% team, for example, and only 2 or 3 people are posting on LinkedIn or Twitter, then they become the outliers, right? Like, ye aadmi to din bhar LinkedIn, Twitter pe rehta hai, right? That they become the outlier, they, feel alienated and all of that. But if everyone is doing it, and I'm not saying all 60 people, if 20, 25 people start doing it, then you're not the outlier, that becomes the norm, right? So we have sort of created channels where, people share when they post about something on Twitter or LinkedIn, and everyone comes in and supports it, right? Like with a like, comment, whatever it is. So yeah, this is something that I quickly wanted to mention as well.
Yeah, and one quick thing. So just one example I'd like to mention. So a lot of people say kind of send a message to this employee, can you give us a review on Glassdoor? And I think this is kind of the generic message even we used to send, right? So can you give us a review on Glassdoor? This is the link to give the review, right? I think then that is like, okay, just do this for us, something like that, right? That does not really explain the why. And if you add like literally 4 words, right, which is like helps us hire more people like you, or helps us hire your friends, helps us hire people like you, that's enough, right? That will literally, I'm telling you, it will have a big impact. It will have a delta impact on the number of reviews you get, because you're explaining the why. You're just not telling people to do. No one wants to be forced. No one wants to be asked to do things they don't want to, right? So you have to kind of explain why this is really useful for not just for the company but also for them, right? Because if the company is able to hire more people like them, they're also more successful. They'll be happier. Just a small difference, kind of helps get more reviews. And you do this with every single thing you do on the employer branding.